Welcome to one and all for the e-seminar on scope, objective and benefit of mushroom farming, a new business opportunity organized by Krishak Education Society, Art, Commerce and Science College, RV, East Border. I would like to welcome to all dignitaries, chairman, chief guest, teachers, students, farmers, and the students and those are present for the seminar, especially the chairman of the session. First, I would like to congratulate to the organizer, college management, and Department of Botany, especially head of the department, Dr. Dahat sir, for the organization of such a wonderful event. I am grateful to college administration and head department of botany for inviting me for the talk. So today's topic for the invited talk is the mushroom cultivation technology. So I first would like to focus on the mushroom. Mushroom cultivation is the burning topic of the agriculture and the tribal region of India. So, mushroom, first of all, I would like to focus on the some taxonomical and the morphological characteristics of the mushroom. This mushroom, which comes under the branch of science, is called as the mycology. And the word mycology, which starts from the myces, and myces means the mushroom. So, due to the study of mushroom, the branch is called as the mycology, and the mushroom is the organism which comes under the fungi, and fungi, which are the non-chlorophyllous organism, these mushrooms, which are the fleshy fungi, and this fleshy fungi, which is edible type of the fleshy fungi, this comes under the edible mushroom. So the mushroom is a fungi producing a fleshy fruiting body, especially consists of the stalk with an umbrella. But the mushrooms may be of various type of the shapes and size. Particularly, the mushrooms are having the ball-like structures, umbrella-like structures, and there is a variation in the structure of the mushroom. Generally, the mushrooms are just like umbrella. It has two parts: cap-like mushroom. It is known as the pileus, attached with the thread-like structures. That is the mycelia. Mycelia absorb the nutrient from the soil. It does not require sunlight for their growth. The mushrooms are the saprophytic in nature. Mushroom generally grows at the dead and decaying organic matter of the forest. The mushrooms are having the various type of the fruiting bodies. The mushrooms may be edible or it may be non-edible. The mushrooms may be poisonous. But today we will focus on the edible mushroom, cultivation of the edible mushroom and their farming. That is the business opportunity for the farmers, for the tribals, for the youth. Why we select the topic that is the mushroom cultivation technology? Because the mushroom is a nutritious type of food. Most of the mushrooms are having the proteins. The edible mushrooms are having the proteinaceous type of the content. These mushrooms are used in the daily food. In the diet, most of the mushrooms are having the so many pharmaceutical values. They are having the antioxidant properties. The mushrooms are also anti-cancerous. Mushrooms are having the different type of the medicinal properties. There are various type of mushrooms. On the basis of their fruiting bodies, on the basis of their shape, the mushrooms are classified in these types. These are the Worcester mushrooms. These Worcester mushrooms, the commonly Worcester mushrooms cultivated in our region. These mushrooms, Worcester mushroom, the scientific name is a Pleurotus. The species of Pleurotus, which is very common in our region, that is the Pleurotus sajarkojo, which grows in the our area. This mushroom is a straw mushroom, and this straw mushroom is looks like an umbrella. And these straw mushrooms, which is also grown in our region. This is the third type of the mushrooms, that is the reishi mushrooms. These reishi mushrooms, which appears in brownish in color, and these mushrooms are comes under the category of phoroid mushrooms. So morphologically, these all the mushrooms are having the different size of their basidiocarp. The mushrooms are having the fruiting body, and this fruiting body is called as the basidiocarp. And the color of the basidiocarp may be various type of the colors. The color is having the variations. This mushroom is a hard type of mushroom. Some of the mushrooms are soft type of mushrooms. These mushrooms are delicate. The mushrooms are having the lot of moisture. These mushrooms are dry type of mushrooms. The scientific name of this reishi mushroom is the Ganoderma lucidum. This Ganoderma lucidum is also growing in our region. So likewise, there are a different type of the mushrooms which are also found in the forest in the rainy season. When you visit to the forest in the rainy season, these mushrooms also found in the forest. These are the different name of the mushrooms. Common name of the mushroom, that is the enochitic mushroom, shiitake mushroom, and the wood ear mushroom. So these are the different various type of the fruiting body of the mushrooms. These mushrooms are having the good nutritional values. The mushrooms also used as a nutraceutical and the nutritionals. So this white button mushroom is very common in India. Most of the part of the India, the which cultivate the white button mushroom. The technical name of the white button mushroom is Agaricus bisporus. This is the most popular mushroom, also called as the button mushrooms, and 90% of mushrooms consumed in the United States. In the western country, the peoples are using the mushroom in daily diet because the mushrooms are having the number of medicinal values, number of medicinal properties. In India, some part of the some part of the country which are utilizing the mushroom in the food, but due to some misunderstandings, the mushrooms in tribal regions, the peoples of tribal regions which are unable to understand their values. So this is the cremini mushroom, also known as the baby bellas of brown. Creminis are similar in appearance to white, but have light tone to rich brown cap and formal texture. So the color of the mushroom is brownish in color. This button mushroom is a white mushroom. This is the portabella mushroom, is again brownish in color. The shiitake mushroom is also brown, and this long hair-like mushroom is the enoki mushrooms. These long spindle stem-like structures which are present in this enoki mushroom. This Worcester mushroom is also again common in our region. This Worcester mushroom can be grey, pale yellow, or even blue with velvety texture. So all the mushrooms are having the nutritious values, and these mushrooms which are cultivated for the edible purposes. These two mushrooms, beech mushrooms, are with either all white or light brown caps. These mushrooms which are having the long stalk like structures and the upper part is having the cap. So Mitake mushroom appearing rippling and the fan shape without caps, they are also called as the hen of the woods. So these mushrooms are classified on the basis of their fruiting body. Their nutritional values are more. The most of the mushrooms which are also used in the cancer treatment. This is the general structure of the mushroom. Generally, the button mushroom is having the long fruiting body, which is upper part is having the cap, and this part is having the stalk, which is also called as the stem. This annulus is present in the below the cap. This ring-like structure is called as annulus. These are the partitions which are present on the upper side, that is the gills or the lamella. The lower part of the mushroom is having the curve-like structure. It is called as the vulva, and the mycelial threads is called as the primary type of the mycelium, which are present in the soil. A mushroom typically consists of the stipe or the stalk and the cap. As the mushroom develops from underground mycelium and push upward, it is protected by the thin membrane which eventually ruptured, leaving fragments on the cap. These mushrooms are the fruiting body which germinate from the spores. In the rainy season, when the favorable conditions available, like the lower temperature and the high moisture, in the rainy season the spores germinate in the soil, and after germination of the spores which form the mycelium, and this mycelium which aggregate to each other, and this mycelia which undergoes dikaryoticization, and these mycelia which unite to form the stalk or the button like structures. And after formation of this button like structure, these button like structures which grows in upward direction and which develop into the stalk, and another membrane attaching the cap to the stalk also ruptured, allowing the cap to extend and leaving the remnant ring. The ring is called as the annulus on the stalk. Radiating row of the gills are found on the cap's under surface. These bear the club-shaped reproductive structure, that is the basidia. So the mushroom is the fruiting body, and the basidiospores are the spores which is responsible for the reproduction in the mushroom. The mushrooms also comes under the different class, that is the ascomycota. The one important and medicinally valuable mushroom is the morchella, and this morchella belongs to ascomycota, which is having the ascocarp and ascospores. But this agaricus biosporus and the remaining mushroom, majority of the mushrooms which belongs to the basidiomycota, and this basidiomycota class which is having the presence of this basidia, which form minute spores known as the basidiospores, of which a single mushroom may produce millions of basidiospores. So in ascomycota, like ascospores, the basidiospores which are developed in the basidiomycota, and this group which shows the basidiospores, and these basidiospores germinate to form the primary mycelia, and this primary mycelia which develop into the fruiting body, that is the basidiocarp. So this presence of basidiospore is the characteristic feature of the mushrooms, and this is the general fruiting body of the mushroom. So this is the general morphological characteristics of the mushrooms. In the first lecture, the mushroom cultivation and their farming, which is already discussed by the speaker, but I would like to focus on the morphological and taxonomical structures of the mushrooms. So, how to identify the poisonous and the edible mushrooms? Few mushrooms are cultivated on large scale. So, India is having the number of mushroom centers, and these mushroom centers which are working on the cultivation practices of the mushrooms. So, why we select the mushroom for the cultivation? What is the reason behind the mushroom cultivation? Because the mushroom is having the high nutritional values. The mushroom are low in calories, high in fibers, and contain many important vitamins and minerals. Some also have medicinal properties such as complex carbohydrates that strengthen the human activities. They are an excellent source of proteins. In some region, they are known as the vegetable meat for their high protein content. They contain all the essential amino acids needed for your body. The percentage of protein in dry mushroom could be between 10% to 30% of the total mushroom weight. They have high concentration of carbohydrate at 57% and 14% raw fiber. Most of those carbohydrates are complex sugar that will help you regulate insulin and sugar level because they are low glycemic sugars. So the mushrooms like Agaricus bisporus, Pleurotus, Sajarcojo, these mushrooms are having the high percentage of protein as well as they are having the source of fibers. They are having the source of carbohydrates. These mushrooms we should use in the daily diet. Most of the rich peoples which are using the mushroom medicines, but for the tribal people also, it is a need of today's to use the mushroom in their daily diet. So these mushrooms which are having the different contents like proteins. Protein is the major content of the mushroom. The mushrooms we can cultivate on the large scale. The reason behind this cultivation of mushroom is the protein. Most mushrooms have high protein content, usually around 20% to 30% by dry weight. The mushrooms also having the high amount of the fibers, and this fiber is very important for our body functions. This fiber helps the lower cholesterol and is important for the digestive system. Vitamin D is also present in the various mushrooms like Agaricus bisporus, Pleurotus agarcojo, and the Morchella. This vitamin D is very important for our body, which is essential for the absorption of calcium. Again, the copper is also is the content of the mushroom. This copper is very useful in human body for human body. This copper is useful in aids in helping the body absorb oxygen and create RBCs. Selenium is also is the content of the mushrooms, and selenium is very important for the body because Selenium is an antioxidant that help neutralize the free radicals, thus preventing the cell damage and reducing the risk of cancer and other diseases. Mushrooms contain more selenium than any other form of produce. Other content of the mushroom, that is the potassium. This potassium is also very important. It is an extremely important mineral that regulate blood pressure and keep cells functioning properly. Other important minerals are also present in the mushroom fruiting bodies, in the basidial carp of the mushrooms, such as phosphorus, zinc, and magnesium. This content of the mushroom, which is having the low level of fats, calories, and sodium. And one more important thing in case of mushroom, there is a no cholesterol present in the mushroom. So due to the lot of benefits, lot of the health benefits, lot of the nutritional values, the mushrooms are very important for all of us. The mushrooms, which is a alternative for the so many medicines. The mushroom we should be used in our daily diet because the mushrooms which are having the nutraceutical value, nutritional values, the mushroom can cure the cancer. The mushrooms are having the different species. The Ganoderma lucidum is a very important type of the mushroom. Agaricus bisporus, then this is a Pleurotus ajarcojo. In our region, most of the farmers are cultivating the Pleurotus ajarcojo because the Pleurotus ajarcojo which required the low cost for the production than the Agaricus bisporus. Agaricus bisporus required low temperature and the Pleurotus ajarcojo which required our room temperature in the rainy season and in the winter season. The cost of the production for the Pleurotus is less. So the nutritional value of the mushrooms, which is more, the edible mushrooms are consumed by humans for their nutritional value and they are occasionally consumed for their supposed medicinal values. But nowadays, these mushrooms should be used for the medicinal value also. Edibility may be defined by criteria that include absence of poisonous effects on human and desirable taste and aroma. So in the forest, both type of mushrooms are present. Some of the mushrooms are edible, some of the mushrooms are poisonous. But for cultivation practices or cultivation purposes, we use only the edible mushroom after identification and the confirmation from the expert. We use the spawn of the only edible mushrooms like Pleurotus ajarcojo or the Agaricus bisporus. So edible mushrooms include many fungal species that are either harvested wild or cultivated. So in the forest there are so many edible species of the mushrooms. These edible species of the mushrooms which can use in the daily diet. But the collector should knows which species is edible and which species is poisonous. Without confirmation, it is not possible to understand the edible and the poisonous type of the mushrooms. So the Agaricus bisporus, which is a very common species which is cultivated in India, throughout in India. This agaricus bisporus is also called as the button mushroom, which also known as the white cultivated mushroom. Agaricus bisporus is grown on composted cereal straw and animal manure. Agaricus bisporus is the most extensively cultivated mushroom in the world. These Agaricus bisporus also used in the Western countries, accounting for the 38% of the world production of cultivated mushroom. So this Agaricus bisporus, which is a very commonly used mushroom in world, including India, because the Agaricus bisporus, which the shape is having like a button, therefore it is called as the commonly button mushroom, and which is not too much soft. It is some type of the hard and soft type of the mushrooms. Another mushroom which are also cultivated on the large scale, this mushroom is called as the Halvarella Halvaceae. This is the Chinese or paddy straw mushroom. This Valvarella Valvaceae is a high temperature mushroom, grow largely in tropical and subtropical region of the Asia like China and India. These mushrooms can be grown on variety of agricultural waste. This Valvarella mushroom account for 16% of total production of cultivated mushroom in the world. So this Agaricus bisporus, which are using in 38% area of the world production is 38%, and this Valvarella Valvaceae is 16%. So in the world, in every country, in every hotel, the Agaricus bisporus or the button mushroom is very common than these another mushrooms. We will focus on some poisonous mushroom also. In the forest, we should know the how we can predict it is a poisonous mushroom. We cannot confirm on the basis of this morphological identification that is these are the poisonous mushroom. We can confirm some of the edible mushroom on the basis of morphological character, but the mushroom should be identified from the experts before consuming, because some mushrooms are having the poisonous properties. These are some morphological characters. On the basis of these morphological characters, we can predict the mushroom is the poisonous type of mushroom. These poisonous mushrooms look like a edible mushroom in their morphology and life cycle. On the basis of morphology, they are similar, but they can distinguish by some characters. The poisonous mushroom and the edible mushrooms both are classified, both are having the fruiting body, but on some characters like the number one, the brightly colored fruiting body. In 95 or 99, 95, 98% mushrooms, they are having the different type of the colorations, but those mushrooms are brightly colored. The fruiting body or the basidiocarp of the mushrooms, if it is a bright colored, so there may be the chances of poisonous type of the mushroom. Second character for the poisonous mushroom, that is the greenish tinge on the gills and yellow green spores. The green tinge on the lower surface of the cap in case of the Amanita phalloides, or the in case of the mushrooms which are having the gills, Gills means gills are the part of the upper cap. Below the cap, there are so many partitions. These partitions are called as the gills. And if the gills are having the greenish tinge or the yellow green spores, means the deciduous spores of the mushrooms are yellowish green color. So this is the second character of the poisonous mushroom. Then the third character of the prediction of the poisonous mushroom, that is the pink colored spores in the green. The color of the basidiospores in the basidiocarp of the mushrooms, it may be pinkish in color or the pink colored or yellowish green colored spores, which may be the indication of the poisonous type of the mushrooms. Another characters which also indicate that the mushrooms may be poisonous. These characters are just like a presence of halwa and the annulus on the stalk. The vulva and the annulus, which are present on the stipe, these ring-like structures, if present on the stipe, there may be the chances of the poisonous mushroom. Then another characters, that is the oozing of milky or colored latex at damaged portion of the mushroom. When the mushrooms are damaged by the other injuries, the mushrooms may be having the maybe oozing the milky latex. This oozing of milky latex may be the characteristic of the mushrooms, poisonous mushroom. And the last character, that is the unpleasant odor. The unpleasant odor may be the characteristics of poisonous mushroom. Some of the mushrooms are also commonly called as the stink horn mushroom. These stink horn mushrooms are having the stinking smell, unpleasant smell, rotten egg smell of the mushrooms, and which is very commonly found in the forest. So, on the basis of this character, we may predict the mushrooms may be poisonous. But this test or these characters are the morphological characters. For the confirmation of the poisonous mushroom, we should go for the mycotoxin identifications, mycotoxin characterizations. So this species is very common, that is the poisonous species, that is the Amanita phalloides. This Amanita phalloides, which is a deadly poisonous mushroom. Then another example of this poisonous mushroom, which is a Trichoderma muscarium, and these mushrooms are poisonous. These mushrooms, after the consumption of these mushrooms by mistake, there may be the chances of death. So we should confirm the mushroom from expert before consumption. But for mushroom cultivation technology or for production of the mushrooms, we use the species of the mushrooms which are very popular for the edible purposes. So these are some photographs of the poisonous type of the mushrooms which are found in the forest. These mushrooms are having the cap-like structure, annulus and vulva. This annulus and vulva is present. These mushrooms are bright colored type of the mushrooms. These colored mushrooms are having the ornamentations on the basidiocarp, on the fruiting body. These mushrooms are having the vulva, bright colored mushrooms. These are the characteristics of the poisonous type of the mushrooms. So we should know the life cycle of mushroom. Why the mushrooms are having the short life cycle? Why the mushrooms which grows in the rainy season. The mushrooms are having the different type of spores. These spores are the basidiospores. The mushrooms which are disappear very quickly in the forest after the rainy season of the monsoon in the month of June. We observed that number of fruiting bodies which are coming from the soil, and after 15 days these fruiting bodies which are disappear. So why it is happen? So the spores are present in the soil in dormant stage. These spores are called as the basidiospores, and these basidiospores are the rounded or oval type of the basidiospores. These basidiospores undergo germination, and after germination, after favorable conditions like rainy season, these basidiospores form the germ tubes, and after formation of the germ tubes, this germinated structure convert into the mycelium. This is called as the mycelium. This mycelium is a cottony structure, and this cottony structure mycelia, which is spread inside the soil in the rainy season. After spreading into the soil, so all these spores form the mycelium, and this mycelia which aggregate to form the cotton fiber like mat into the soil, which appears like a cottony mycelium. And after aggregation of this mycelium which forms the primordia, mushroom primordia, number of mycelia which aggregates to form the cluster, and after formation of cluster, this mushroom primordia form, and this primordia which convert into the short bulb like structures, and these bulb like structures which is called as the button stage of the mushroom in Agaricus bisporus, or in case of Agaricus species, the button stage formation is the first stage on the soil. This mycelia development or the spore germination, these stages which occurs inside the soil. But after the development of this mycelia, the button stage which appears and come out from the soil, and this button which convert into the long fruit body, this button or this mycelia grows upward in direction, which form the stipe, which is also called as the stem, and which form also the annulus. Ring like structure is called as the annulus, the lower part is called as the vulva, and the upper part, which is having this number of partitions or the layers, these layers are called as the gill, and this gill is a reproductive part of the mushroom. This gill which is having the number of spores, this gill which is having the number of basidiospores, and these basidiospores when matured this fruiting body, the basidiospores which are liberated from this basidiocarp, and this basidiospore after maturity, these basidiospores are uninucleate. These basidiospores are single cell type of the basidiospores, and these single celled basidiospores which disseminate from this fruiting body and which mix with the soil, and after mixing with the soil, these basidiospores which becomes dormant until the favorable conditions are available, and after favorable conditions, these basidiospores undergo germination to form the mycelium. So the mature mushrooms, which is the complete fruiting body of the mushroom. So this is the life cycle of the mushroom. These are the different stages of the mushroom. That is the this stage is the stipe and the cap. This part is called as stipe. These are the gills and these are the caps which are present above the ground. The mushroom consists of stipe that support cap. These structures are called as the basidiospores, which looks like a oval shape and which are situated on the short stalk-like structure is called as the stigmata. This is the basidium. This basidium is a club-like structure which are present in the group that is the basidiomycota. And at the tip of this basidium, these short stalk-like structures which are produced, and this oval body is called as the basidiospore, and these basidiospores which are ready for the germination. These are the gills. These gills are the underside of the most cap have thin sheet of tissue called gills which contain basidia that produce basidiospores. Wind disperse mature spores. And after disperse of the spores undergo germination. When basidiospore germinate, it produce hyphae of either mating strain, positive or negative. So after the meiosis, after the fusion of two nuclei, there is a formation of zygote or the diploid nucleus and it undergoes meiotic division to form the four haploid nuclei which convert into the four haploid spores, out of which two spores are having the positive mating type and two spores are having the negative mating type. That is the positive strains and the negative strains. So after germination of these basidiospores, after the hypal fusion, when different hyphae meet, they fuse and form new mycelium containing cells with two haploid nuclei. This haploid mycelium, which which is the positive type of haploid mycelium, negative type of mycelium, which form the buttons. This button stage is below the ground surface, but it is coming out of the soil. This button formation, the mycelium forms a compact mass, a button just below the soil surface. A button develop into stipe and cap. Then the spore production in the basidia haploid nuclei fuses, meiosis occurs, and producing four haploid nuclei that develop into the basidiospore. These are the basidia, and these basidia, which develop into the basidiospores. This haploid nuclei fuses to form the diploid nucleus, and this fruiting body is the mature type of fruiting body, which coming out from the soil and which develops that is into the cap, stipe, and the lower part that is the rhizoma. So this is the general life cycle of the mushrooms and how the mushroom spread or how to mushroom reproduces from the basidiospores and to form the basidiocarp. So some of the steps in mushroom production. In the first talk, already mushroom production described by the speaker. I am only focusing some important steps. The key genetic step in mushroom production that between 3 months from start to finish, depending on species. Identifying and cleaning a dedicated room for building in which temperature, moisture, and sanitary condition can be controlled to grow the mushroom. In choosing a growing medium and storing the raw ingredient in a clean place under covered and protected from rain. So these are the requirement for the mushroom production. This is the pasteurization and sterilization technique of the medium and the bags, tables for the mushroom production required. This is autoclave or the sterilization of the glasswares. Seeding the bed with spawn, spore, and mature mushroom grows on the sterile media. Maintaining optimal temperature, moisture, hygiene, and other conditions for mycelial growth. Harvesting and eating or processing, packaging, and sealing the mushrooms, cleaning the facility, and beginning again. So these are some mushroom cultivation process. So apart from the mushroom cultivation technology, so we can cultivate the spawn for the mushroom cultivation. The spawn cultivation is a different part because spawn is essential for the mushroom cultivation, and the spawn is a seed of mushroom, and the spawns are also the basidospores of the mushrooms. The mushroom it comes under the group of organism that is a fungi, and fungi reproduces with the help of spores, and these spores are the spore in particularly mushrooms, and we can multiply the spore on artificial media. So these spawn preparations which are also important in case of the mushroom cultivation, we can cultivate the spawn in our laboratory. So these are the some steps of the mushroom spawn preparations. Preparation or procurement of spawns. Mother spawn can be produced from any mushroom research center, and primary culture of the spawn can be prepared by following procedure. The first step is select good quality jar or wheat grains free from the pest and molds. These grains, it may be wheat grains or the jar grains, it should be free from the any other foreign particles like pest and the molds. It is very important. Second point, that is the boil the grain submerged in clean water for 20 to 30 minutes to kill the microbes. When the grain becomes soft, remove the remove and spread evenly on cotton cloth to drain out the water and cool the grains. Third step, mix 3% chalk powder for adjusting the pH to keep the grain loose. Number 4, fill 250 gram of the grain in clean and dried glucose bottle of 500 ml capacity or propylene bags and plug the mouth of the bottle tightly with non-absorbent cotton. The fifth stage, sterilize the bottle in autoclave by exposing to 21 degrees centigrade and 15 pound pressure for 20 minutes. After cooling, transfer the bottle to inoculation chamber. Next step, transfer the few grains with mycelial growth into sterilized substrate bottle under aseptic condition and plug it with cotton. So in this case, the aseptic condition is very important because if we cannot maintain the aseptic condition, there may be the chances of infection. There may be the chances of contamination of the another particles, another spores. The spores may be the another unavoided spores like the spores of aspergillus or penicillium can contaminate your culture. So in the spawn production, it is very careful or the important part to avoid the unwanted organism. The culture should be pure culture. The culture should be pure, or it should be only one type of the culture, spore culture. that is the organism which you would like to cultivate. The next stage, that is the shift the inoculated bottle to the spawn running room having temperature ranges 25 to 30 degrees centigrade. So these are the different stages of the spawn preparation. So we can produce the spawn in our laboratory. Very simple technique is like a pure culture technique. The students of microbiology and mycology can cultivate the spawn or multiply the spawn for the production of the mushrooms. So these mushrooms are a spore bearing and fruiting body, that is the morphological part of the mushrooms. The fruiting body of the mushrooms are very common. Is some of the photographs of the mushrooms in the field which are having the umbrella, vulva, stalk, and the mycelia. This mushroom, most of the growth of the fungus goes unnoticed because it occurs underground. In the rainy season, we observed the mushroom in the forest. Suddenly, after the rain, and we observed only the fruiting body. The mushrooms may seem to sprout overnight. It actually takes a day or week for to develop. Their spores and their mycelia, which are totally underground, only we observed the fruiting body, that is the basidiocarp, that is the stipe, and the pileus above the soil. So these are the nutritional values of the mushrooms. So these three type of mushrooms are very popular in India and also world. That is the Agaricus bisporus. These mushrooms, every hotels and the every city which are cultivating or which are using this Agaricus bisporus, that is the common mushroom. Pleurotus, Austriatus, Volvariella volvaceae, these are the dual type of the mushrooms. These poisonous mushrooms are brightly colored. These are the two photographs of these poisonous mushrooms, like Amanita phalloides and the Trichoderma muscarium. These edible mushrooms consumed by the human, their nutritional values consumed for their supposed medicinal values. So these are having the rich source of protein, therefore they are edible. These Acaricus, Bisporus, Lentinus, Pseudodes, Pleurotus, Olvariella, and Auricularia polytracha, which are commonly edible species cultivated in India. This Agaricus bisporus is very common basidiomycetes mushroom, which is a native of the Europe and the North America. This is called as the button mushroom, which are looks like a white button. These when immature and brown, these mushrooms may be known variously as Swiss brown. These are the different name of the mushrooms. This pleurotus mushroom is generally referred to as Uster mushroom in India or dhingri in India. The mushrooms which are cultivated in India, but the details of the mushroom research which is going on in the India, the research center is the National Research Center for Mushroom (NRCM) Solan, Himachal Pradesh. The fruit body of these mushrooms are distinctly cell, fan, or spatula shape with different shade of white, cream, gray, yellow, pink, or light brown, depending upon the species. There are different species of this pleurotus, and on the different species shows the different coloration. The species of the pleurotus may be pink, it may be having the white shade or the gray shade, that it depend on the species, but this species is also cultivated in most part of the India within very low cost technology. This species which required the room temperature for the production. This is the oyster mushroom, the secret enzyme that break down the organic bond in wood into smaller molecule. Thus, due to their love of wood, oyster are also efficient in breaking down the organic bond into the toxic chemicals. It has the bittersweet aroma in benzaldehyde. Oyster mushroom can also be used industrially for mycoremediation purpose. This Volvarella volvaceae is again the mushroom is the Chinese mushroom, or it is also called as the paddy straw mushroom, commonly grow on the paddy straw. Volvarella volvaceae is a high temperature mushroom, grow largely in tropical and subtropical region of Asia, China, India. Then the Volvarella and Amanita cannot be distinguished in the early button stage, that for many is considered the best stage to collect Volvarella for consumption. Like Amanita, the paddy straw mushroom has a volva or universal veil, so called because it is a membrane that encapsulates the entire mushroom when it is young. This structure break apart as the mushroom expand, leaving parts that can be found at the base of the stalk as a cup-like structure. These are some photographs of mushroom cultivation. These fruiting bodies which affairs or this fruiting body which are developed from these bags. These bags are having the raw material and the spawns, and after the maturity, after the development of the mycelia inside the bag, these fruiting bodies which comes out from this bag. These are the requirements, spawn, straw, bags, which are already discussed in the first session. This is a spawn production to grow the mushroom. You need to buy the spores. The spore show will have been grown on the corn cob bottle of the spores. These are the spawns. This only the spawn is essential for the cultivation of mushroom. In case of pleurotus or in case of the agaricus asporus, this spawn is the seeds of the mushrooms, and these spawns which are stored in the bottle and which are mixed with the wheat grains. These are the wheat grains, and these wheat grains are having the mass of the mycelia and the basidiospores, which help to reproduce the mycelium into the formation of the fruiting body, that is the mushrooms. These are the different stages of the cultivation of the mushrooms, and these are some photographs for the soaking the paddy straw, chopping the paddy straw, and hot water treatment, drain off the excess water, and these are the preparation of bags, plastic bags, and after preparation of these plastic bags, these are the filling of the plastic bed preparations, layering of the spawns. These are the white colored structure, that is the seeds, that is the spawns which are situated on the wheat grains, and these spawns or these basidiospores which germinate inside these paddy straws and which develop the mycelium inside the paddy straw. After 7 to 8 days, this bag which becomes whitish in color, which form the mycelia, and after development of mycelia, the bags are pinning by the threads, or the pinning by these some pins. Spawn, these are the running spawns. These are the layering of the spores of the spawn inside the bag. These are the bag ready for the development of the fruiting bodies. These making the hole for the aeration and the germination of the spores inside the bag, which is spray this bag after 5 days to keep the moist, and after 18 days mushroom will start sprouting in 18 days. These are the yards or the halls which are having these mushroom cultivation. The small space is required for the multi mushroom cultivation, and production cost is very less in case of the mushroom cultivation. So it is a very good opportunity for the business for the youth. These are the fruiting bodies of the pleurotus, mature mushrooms, and these are the ready this fruiting body for the harvesting. And after harvesting, these materials or these mushroom bodies, after drying, it is packed in the bags for the marketing. So this is a very nutritious and values of the mushrooms. This nutritious food of the mushroom, which is a good opportunity for the business. Thank you very much. And at the last, I would like to thanks to the organizer for the organization of this wonderful event, which is the need of the day for the nutritional purposes. And I would like to thanks to the management of the college and head of the department, Dr. Dart, and all the teachers of the college, and thanks to the chairman and all the dignitaries